Say this week you went out and bought a brand new 2019 Lexus. And you drove it off the lot. And as soon as you drive it off, you hit a fence. The value of the Lexus would immediately be diminished. But guess what? It would still be a Lexus. But the damage it incurred would drive its value down because the integrity of the vehicle has been compromised. Its appraised value would be lower because the original design has been altered. Somebody gonna get it in a minute. Sin does that same thing to you and I. It corrupts the integrity of who we were created to be and disfigures the divine image we had before we were not created for sin, but created for God. So whenever sin is introduced, it lessens the estimation of our value in our mind. The only hope for your vehicle once it has been wrecked lies in its ability to be restored, because it can be restored to its original condition. Then the value can be restored. And everybody knows that once it has been wrecked, if there's anyone, anywhere, who can put it back together like it's supposed to be put together again, tell somebody it's the Lexus place. Tell them it's the Lexus place. Well, and what is true of a car is also true of us. That God's intention in Jesus was to restore us to our original condition. Notice what I said. His intention in Jesus. Where is your shout? Where is your shout? His intention in Jesus was to restore us to our original condition. With the new birth, God created anew what we were originally designed to be. And Paul describes that process in chapter 2 by saying, and you he made alive. He says we were dead in trespasses and sin, but I'm alive now because God, who is rich in mercy because of his great love in which he loved us, even when we were dead in trespasses and sin, made us alive together in Christ and raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Tell somebody it's the gospel message. The gospel message doesn't need any music, doesn't need a song. All the gospel message needs is faith mixed with it. Are you receiving? Are you receiving? Are you awake? Are you awake? It is through Jesus that we are created anew. That's why Paul later wrote in 2 Corinthians 5:17, therefore if any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. That through Christ, God restores us to who and what we were originally intended to be. Watch this now. This is both an accomplished work, but it is also a work in progress. This has already been accomplished in Christ, but it must be applied by us daily. The real you has already been handled by Jesus. The mess up you made has already been handled by Jesus. The mistakes you made and the flaws you carry have already been covered by Jesus. The guilt that is rightfully yours has already been handled by Jesus. The shame that diminishes your sense of worth has already been handled by Jesus. Tell your neighbor, I'm not damaged goods. I've been completely restored. You ought to claim it. You ought to know it. You ought to believe it. You ought to receive it, that everything the devil did to you has been undone in Jesus Christ. Help me, somebody. Because in Christ you have been restored. In Christ you have been renewed. In Christ you have been revived. In Christ you have been revamped. In Christ you have been refurbished. In Christ you have been repaired. And while your physical birth and design reflect the wonder and majesty of God, your spiritual birth reflects the grace, the mercy, the favor, and the kindness of God. Shout, I'm a masterpiece. I'm God's masterpiece. I'm God's masterpiece.